딱 특별하게 못한 판 없이 그냥 기복 없이 잘해주는 선수? 아니면 그냥 항상 자신감 있게 하고 항상 뭐 라인전 단계에서 밀리지 않는 그런 선수로 기억되면 좋을 것 같아요.
팀이 만약에 되게 높은 곳에 올라갔어도 제 개인적으로 약간 좀 아쉽거나 좀 내가 좀 못했다 약간 이런 생각이 들면 좀 실패라고 생각할 것 같거든요. 저는 근데 또 반대로 제가 또 엄청 잘했는데 팀이 만약에 또 많이 못 올라가면 그것도 실패를 할 것 같아요. 그래서 저는 성공은 저도 폼이 좋으면서 좋은 모습 보여드리면서 그리고 팀도 같이 이제 랭크 위로 올라가는 그런 상황이 돼야 좀 성공을 할 수 있지 않나 싶어요.
Hello and welcome back to Worlds 2019. I have been joined by Xayah and Papa Smithy. Welcome to the desk, guys. DAMWON Gaming up against AHQ. What a game we have to kick us off.
And it's definitely going to be a really interesting one, given the fact that we now have a 2-0 team and we have two teams without a win in this particular game. A lot of people surprised by DAMWON Gaming not picking up the win yesterday, and maybe even more surprised by the fact that Impact had the measure of Nuguri and Lane.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now for DAMWON coming into here, you know, it's about keeping pace with the top of the pack, right? This is a very competitive group. We have seen that people are expecting these top three teams to really be going back and forth, but there's also an opportunity to make this that four-horse race to really upset the group.
And there's usually a straggler. There's usually someone back in three teams in the competition. A four-way race is super hype. Some tiebreakers perhaps in the future. Who knows?
And I think before yesterday, I would have said AHQ is likely to be the straggler in the group. DAMWON Gaming looked relatively good in the play-ins, especially when they got their comfort picks. But yesterday, Nuguri was playing Vladimir and BeryL was playing Alistair, and they still really struggled in that game.
Yeah, I mean, they were playing comfort, right? You know, they got everything that they wanted, and they still weren't able to actually close it out against TL. And on the other side, you have to say that, you know, HQ was able to actually turn in quite a competitive game against IG, especially the early game, I think going quite well for them. So you know, it does upset the expectations a little bit.
But I will say that I feel like the adjustments for both teams that lost yesterday aren't that big. Because if you think back to HQ, a very strong early game, and then some small mistakes snowballed, and Victus Gaming take them down. DAMWON Gaming weren't all over the shop. There was actually, again, an early to mid game where it could have favored them pretty heavily, but then the moment that Nuguri got solo killed, a lot of things fell apart, the Baron came down, and the game ended. So given that, adjustments aren't throw it out and try it all again. It literally is make some small adjustments, ride that mid game a little bit more effortlessly, and suddenly get on the board.
Yeah, it's certainly the case. And honestly, you know, for DAMWON, they turned it into a pretty solid game. And I think so much of the reason that they couldn't actually close that out against TL was Team Liquid had a really good hold on vision, you know, especially around the Baron, setting up kind of that penultimate fight in the game yesterday. And, you know, I'm not sure if AHQ will be able to kind of control the vision and control the map to the same Liquid level that we saw yesterday. And if you're not able to do that, we know how quickly a player like Nuguri can destroy your team with TP flanks, can destroy your team, you know, if he is given a lead.
And I think a question comes for HQ about the reintroduction of Rainbow into the mid lane for them. Of course, during the regular season, they played a lot with Apex in the mid lane. And now having Rainbow in, he didn't actually have the best of performances yesterday. So you wonder why they continue with him.
It definitely catches us off guard, because when you watch AHQ, again, you almost always remember the previous mid laners. Chowie at one point, most famously West Door, and the fact that they had very small effective champion pools and also were up and down in performance levels. Apex brought a consistency to the mid lane that allowed their whole system to fit into place. And now suddenly Rainbow, who was on Team Afro last year, who hadn't played before World started for the AHQ lineup, is preferred. Because we are the layman here, we need to understand more about what they're seeing, and maybe a second round draft here can give us some more insight.
Yeah, certainly the case. And I mean, to be fair to Rainbow, he did have a fairly strong early game, you know, was the beneficiary of some of their early game plays, did get a couple kills, but he wasn't really able to make much of that lead on the Akali that he did, you know, play yesterday. So certainly I think the challenge against a lot of these top teams is going to be, you know, the next step, right? We know everyone at this tournament is capable of having the 1v1 advantages, capable of making ganks happen, but getting to that next step and snowballing the game is so difficult.
But on the side of DAMWON, what I want to see from them is they went for the Veigar carry bot lane. I actually think that Nuclear finds it hard to play some of these new picks. You understand it. It's like, okay, don't want to take 80 carry versus 80 carry. I want to negate the lane with a non-traditional marksman going for a mage. I feel like he struggles in execution there. Rakan probably not going to be available for him, unfortunately. And then in the mid lane, ShowMaker was on a mid lane. No, he didn't take the side lane. We didn't see Yasuo attempt to side lane in that game. Man, it was just Nuguri. He got shut down, and the game ended from there. So more of a 3-lane game here from DAMWON Gaming, I think would suit them because it's back to that ultra comfort.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it'll be interesting to see where they do take us, as far as that bottom lane, because Nuclear BeryL, they certainly have been criticized for their laning phase. They have been kind of that weak link, I think, on this squad. Certainly, the solo laners getting a lot of praise. Canyon, the LCK MVP for summer, and this is where they need to really figure out what they are going to do, on the international level if they're going to try to make it to that next step.
And these are not the bot lanes that usually would roll over them. This should be a more comfortable bot lane scenario against AHQ than some of the more respected bot lanes in the world. Therefore, this should be one where you can paper over the cracks a little bit more.
Well, we'll see if they're able to do that as we get on into picks and bans. AHQ on the red have removed Renekton, Gragas, and the LeBlanc. DAMWON Gaming on the blue side removed Pantheon and Syndra. I expect to see that all the time on blue this Worlds. And the Kale is their final ban.
That actually means that Qiyana is available and snapped up. So frequently banned. Champion that can cause a lot of headaches, especially around neutral objectives, and DAMWON are not always the smartest about choosing when to fight and when to relent.
Yeah, I mean, it's so incredibly powerful in those jungle corridors, can be played as a jungler, can be put in that mid lane, and anytime you have Qiyana, I do think you want to be playing heavily around that mid jungle 2v2, trying to take control of the priority there, get vision in the opposing jungle, and look to scrap where you are at that big advantage.
Well, we're battling through picks and bans already. Kai'Sa locked in, Lee Sin for Canyon, Leona as well for BeryL in the bottom lane. Xayah Rakan was picked for AHQ.
Canyon on ultra comfort, very much a career Lee Sin player, and then the support counter pick many people consider into the Rakan, long as you have some vision around the lane. If you can go in aggressively, you can feel good about following the battle dance and the other general mobility of the Rakan, but it doesn't mean that AHQ don't have a very on paper reliable blue side draft. DAMWON red side with potentially last pick counter pick for Nuguri is still something that many people consider unbannable, even with 5 bans.
Yeah, I mean, he just has such a deep champion pool, and it is interesting that, DAMWON is not actually electing to target some of the safer blind picks up in the top lane. They may not be worried about things that could come through, such as the Gnar, which a lot of people consider to be fairly safe because of that flexible champion pool that Nuguri has. If you're not worried about it, you can bring out things like the Aurelia, you can bring out some of these specific counter picks, perhaps even this Akali being flexed through that top lane.
I think the expectation for AHQ is they pick the Gnar because of how comfortable Ziv is on it. It's one of his most played across the course of his career. But DAMWON, even flexing with the Akali pick here, could still be mid or top.
We almost lose sight when you have these big 3 Korean top laners of the Shy. We saw Impact in the last game, and then of course Nuguri here, of the fact that Ziv has been considered this real top lane carry from the LMS for many, many years. This guy is one of the OGs of the top lane coming from the LMS region. Looks like he's probably jumping on the Rumble here, which is a champion with a finite timer. Does suggest that AHQ are looking to fight in the mid game and not necessarily drag this one out.
Yeah, and I do actually quite like their mid-game team fight right here. When you're looking at this with Qiyana, Xayah, the Jarvan, as well as the Rumble, all of these champions spike pretty well on 1 items. Essence River coming across, of course, for Wako there, and it is going to be the Camille coming through. This can be a tough early matchup. You are going to get pushed in, but especially if you want to go for those laning runes, things like the Grasp, it can really go pretty heavily in your favor. And once you pick up a little bit of MR, that can go very heavily in Camille's favor. But we know this is the guy that loves Klepto, so I'm not sure we're going to see the Grasp.
Yeah, you said Grasp, and I was like, no. It's a possibility, but what we can say is an inevitability is Camille taking over this lane. You see your Ravenous Hydra and Trinity Force done, and Rumble says, guys, TP's up and coming in hot, because that's all you can really expect there Like you were saying, Xayah, there really is a first 25 minutes where a lot of different 3v3s and 4v4s should be very heavily favored to the side of AHQ.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Ziv has fairly easy early game build paths when you're going up against physical damage in top lane, as well as the jungle with the Lee Sin. You know, building towards things like an early Seekers or even that full Zonias can be very powerful for those 2v2s, as you're talking about, 3v3s as well. I'm really going to be interested in how BeryL can perform on this Leona, though.
And on to Summoner's Rift we step once more. AHQ and DAMWON Gaming yet to find a win in this group. Seen Invictus Gaming at the top at 2-0. Team Liquid already with a win under their belts as well. Both these teams will want to get on the board in World's group stage.
And we can all breathe a deep sigh of relief. There's no grasps here in the top lane. No. Kleptomancy is locked in
Where's
here.
the call?
The thing I'll say about the Klepto choice is people look at it as kind of a flexing thing or a Nuguri preference thing. And Nuguri is a player who knows how to play the mind games. The thing about the cull start is when your enemy top laner sees the cull, instantly tilted. Because you're like, excuse me, you don't think you need any combat skill to deal with me? And the moment that you see that and the Klepto, you're calling your jungle. You're feeling pressured because you know if we're just farming it out, other guys getting more gold, and you're getting very frustrated. So just that mind game, just the fact that the enemy jungler might make a suboptimal extra trip and then not get anything out of it is another reason to go for these runes that really make it all about Nuguri, which can be a good thing and a great thing depending on how you play around.
Yeah, it certainly can. I mean, it does put some pressure on the other opponent, essentially, to feel like they have to get something done, right? And as you're saying, it's not always optimal to go up there. You also have to consider that I think people underestimate Klepto as a laning rune. People think it's purely about the gold, but the potions that you can grab can sometimes be pretty game-changing in the lane. And if you pick up a health potion or two, that can change around a lane absolutely against someone like that Rumble. You're also into inspiration. You can grab biscuits if it's a poke-heavy lane and you're really worried about that. So there is actually a lot of laning power that can come from this.
There's actually a great interview with Nuguri where he was asked to rate the 3 most troll picks you can take topside, and he said Klepto, Teemo, obviously the Teemo part we know about, but the Klepto, and make sure not to actually pop any of the sacks of gold or use any of the items just so the enemy can see up close what they're not getting.
Did he just get those?
Extra mad.
Exactly. It's super tilting. Anytime I start a lane phase and I see the call, well, he popped the sack.
I know, he went against his own interview.
Yeah, not a good sign.
Let's have a talk about some of the other lanes and perhaps the jungles. We see Alex going for a red buff into Krugs into blue start here. Sometimes Jarvans will look for a level 2 gank, decided against it. Canyon going to do a full clear of his blue side jungle and now come up towards top.
Yeah, I think just really kind of looking perhaps to expect any Jarvan gank early on, right? Especially when we're seeing Nuguri trading so aggressively, he has to try to be there in case of any sort of early potential ganks. He wants to be able to cover his top lane.
Everyone knows that Rumble around level 3, level 4 is going to be overextended, and that's a period to either gank or cover, depending on which side you're on. So Canyon very much looking at timers, 315 at the other timer, and topside Scuttle would be the one to spot potentially jungle attention.
You can see BeryL is trying to do the same on the bottom side, just walked into the AHQ jungle and put a ward down around the red buff of Alex, so they're trying to keep as many eyes on this Jarvan as they can.
They are taking over topside Scuttle, again, as we were mentioning, to provide coverage topside for Nuguri. Another thing to consider is actually from the AHQ side is that to pull off this Rumble draft, that, speaking of Rumble, and force a smite out of Canyon.
He's getting collapsed on, though.
Ziv is coming in, jump away with the safeguard, and that's pretty easy for Canyon to escape from.
Let's talk about the AHQ side of the matchup. We already mentioned there's a lot of trading going on here.
That's fine.
You were proven correct.
Thanks.
But we had already mentioned that they're very much playing to a certain timer. You really want to see Moby Boots Qiyana to actually set that map pressure going into the flat pen, cheaper build from Rumble to kind of be a bridge of goodness in the early games. I very much want to see those Mobies just to start that pressure really amping up.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I'm going to be interested to see, if Rainbow does just go straight Mobies for pure roaming, if he's going to be, making a kind of a side stop there for something like the Tiamat or rushing towards a Dirk. We do see kind of these 3 different branches of Qiyana builds, and spotted out on a ward there was Alex.
That's the ward that BeryL pushed in to place earlier on. At the moment, DWG Gaming have about a 500 gold lead, large CS lead for Nuguri up towards that top lane. The wave is pushing in, so Ziv will be able to collect a few, but Nuguri is showing that he can really harass down this Rumble in the matchup.
Yeah, and it honestly is a bit concerning. Yes, there is a wave here for Ziv to collect, but that is kind of just uncontested miss CS, from this Rumble. You do have the push in the early game. Hopefully he will be able to get back to parity here, but it's a nice early buy for Nuguri, and he's going to try to keep the pressure on and try to make Ziv spend his teleport immediately to come back.
At the end of the day, they were setting multiple members to get topside scuttle. It's the Camille versus Rumble around the time where Rumble wins trades, but have to be mindful. So I don't mind dropping half a minion wave to stay safe. Seems very likely he's going to have to play weak side for a while. Never ideal against Nuguri, but that's just the hand that Ziv's been dealt.
Certainly is, and we do see the Moby Boots pick up here for Rainbow, so excited to see when he will get active. Heading back out on the map with those Mobies. Certainly want to see him linking up with Alex, looking to make those plays, looking to get mid lane push, get vision in the opposing jungle, and then try to make plays around those tight jungle corridors where the Qiyana ultimate can be so effective.
Absolutely. Exclusive river vision is just epic for a Moby Boots rush Qiyana in a game like this, and that's what they're trying to aspire to. Sword control ward. Clear out a ward by Alex a moment ago. Here's that combination. Speed is real, and that's should be enough to at least force a bit of respect. I don't know.
Yeah, you can see the danger ping is coming out straight away from DWG Gaming. Jump's going to come in here. Ysera onto Nuclear. They're trying to protect Wako as he gets forced back by BeryL, but with the minion wave pushing in, AHQ can't really do too much more.
That damage reduction that was changed on the Leona is actually very relevant when the feathers come into consideration and don't actually do a lot of damage on the back end of those trades. DWG straight onto the ocean here. Happy laning phase. They pick this one up.
Yeah, it's going to be feeling really good for them. 6:30 into the game, grabbing that ocean will certainly be a nice buffer for the lane. Definitely for Camille as well. When Rumble really kind of has to rely on poking down this Camille to really have any sort of threat or lane control, that ocean certainly is going to pay dividends up there.
So Xayah, for the viewers, let's paint that picture, because we were very much about clear timings when it comes to the side of AHQ. Obviously, it's only 6 minutes, but it's been very much in action. We've already said very clearly, farm it out, and we think DWG Gaming have all the options. So the flare point now with TP on cooldown for a while, already kind of wondering when AHQ will make their first proactive play.
I mean, I think at this point you are waiting for 6. You're trying to get 6 on Jarvan, probably the bot lane as well, and then perhaps making their move around this next Mountain Dragon would be kind of where I am expecting it. But certainly, it is a bit of a risky play to be kind of sitting back, allowing Camille to get through these early levels, not really looking for any proactive plays. Because DAMWON is certainly in their comfort zone. They love to play these kind of slower styles of games where they can really establish themselves and engage on their terms.
And when we're talking about AHQ wanting to get river control, get the Qiyana roaming around, I'm surprised not to see an Oracle's lens on any of their players yet.
Fair point.
I'd like to see it on Alex. I'd like to see it on Rainbow. If you're looking for these Moby Boots, trying to get ganks into side lanes, you need to make sure you're clearing out DWG vision.
There's actually an argument to start Sweeper on the mid laner here if you want to potentially be able to always have the first advantage over River, but that's a really good point to bring up, Medic, because for now at least, exclusive vision is at a premium for them. And that just means that the Moby Boots champion, with less combat stats, 900 gold spent onto the Moby Boots, isn't really getting much value out of them.
Yeah, not at all. And I mean, we see that ShowMaker has consistently had the push, right? And if you're locked under your turret, you're getting nothing from those Moby Boots. Any roam you make, you're going to be losing minions to that turret, losing the gold, losing the experience. And, we can see Rainbow is a good 500 plus gold behind in the lane. And then you consider 900 gold spent on non-combat stats. And the 1v1 is going to be heavily in ShowMaker's favor, which is why he's getting this push and why he's able to kind of group up with Canyon and really... they're doing what AHQ wants to be getting done.
Looks like they're going to go down towards the bottom lane now, perhaps forcing a play, realizing they haven't been able to find too much with a few of these roams. Here we go. But Nuclear and BeryL are so used to this. They're so used to being targeted that they just back away, and Rainbow and Alex clear a control ward that immediately gets replaced.
Same story for Ziv on the top side. He had to back completely, and we've already said there's an item point, but you can't even enter lane against Camille that comes later. So it's a trade, absolutely medic, but it's not necessarily one that should be rubber stamped good for the side of AHQ.
Yeah, I think it was certainly good for DAMWON, honestly. You know, you get the plate mid lane, solo gold onto ShowMaker, more CS actually denied away from Rainbow as he lost big part of that wave into the turret. So, you know, he's down now over 30 CS, and ShowMaker is going to be very quickly getting to a point where he can really heavily bully this Camille. And when you're at that point, yes, you can still make roams if the wave is at your turret, but it becomes so obvious, right? Anytime you're not actually answering a wave there, they know to back off elsewhere on the map. And that's exactly what we saw DAMWON's bot lane doing.
You get the sense that AHQ will feel the need to pull a trigger pretty soon. We've got Rift Herald, we've got that Mountain Drake that you talked about earlier, minute and a half before that spawns, but at the moment, Alex is being denied pretty much his entire jungle. Canyon has a 12 CS lead, there's a 30 CS lead in the mid lane for ShowMaker, and if this is the state of affairs for the next 10 minutes, DAMWON will just outscale AHQ.
And you look at the watershed moment, you know, it was about 15 minutes in their game yesterday where things started to come undone against IG, where IG made smart practice moves, and HQ felt a step behind. Here are the numbers. Started off with 800 gold lead, which is very healthy at 10 minutes, but it was already kind of subsiding from there. And by 20 minutes, obviously a lot less relevant, 700 at 20 minutes than the 900 or 800 at 10 minutes. So the flow there was that their snowball and their ability to keep the pace up wasn't actually put together yesterday. And now we're coming into a game where they need to be right on top of that, and they actually enter 10 minutes down about 1,500 gold.
For the moment, DAMWON very happy with this state of affairs. You've got Tiamat complete on Nuguri. He's building up towards that Ravenous Hydra that you talked about in pick and ban. Zonya's not on its way for ShowMaker. Just got the Seekers for a bit of extra protection in the lane, and now has the Hextech Gunblade on its way. Ysera unable to find the connection.
Yeah, Seeker's just so efficient anytime it is, you know, an AD laner and an AD jungler. Grabbing that gives you so much survivability and safety, you know, in those early levels. So really efficient Seekers by there. Then you're going to work towards the Gunblade, and, you know, with Nuguri working towards that Ravenous Hydra, you're going to be able to shrug off most of that Flame Spitter damage. And likewise for ShowMaker, you can really start to ignore most of what this Camille can put out.
BeryL maybe overstepped as the fight continues. There's the solar flare coming in, but the quickness is going to follow as well. The equalizer comes down, knocked back into the wall. First blood to Rainbow, but DAMWON are not done with the fight yet. BeryL on the front line, the Feather Storm coming out. Nuguri forced back, but here comes ShowMaker. The dive in from Nuclear. That's 2 quick kills for DAMWON Gaming. Rainbow trying to get out, but he is shut down by ShowMaker. The dive continues underneath the tower. Alex will fall. Nuguri just able to survive for the moment. Gets the shield. Looking for the damage here onto Ziv, but in the end, Ziv will take him out 2 for 4 in favor of DAMWON Gaming.
Yeah, DAMWON Gaming making the best of that. AHQ do pick up the first blood, and they showcase that Qiyana Rumble combo. But really, Wako was on the wrong side of the fight. He had to cut through DAMWON to actually regroup with his team. And as a result, ShowMaker is able to really turn this one around, and it just all starts this fight over vision. They decide to engage, but it is onto BeryL, who is going to be so incredibly tanky.
And if you roll the tape and you watch the start of this, Rumble had already roamed down. It seemed like it'd be a perfect fight here with the Rumble-Jarvan combination, but so much is invested at the opening of this fight. The AoE layering isn't on to all the members of DAMWON, and the moment that ShowMaker cut through 3 people, AHQ quickly had to reevaluate.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Wako coming up and having to cross through ShowMaker, being forced to use his summoners, his ultimate, just to get regrouped with the team, and he had nothing left to actually defend himself then from that flash R2 from ShowMaker, which allows him to get even further ahead. And we are sitting in a position now with ShowMaker getting a couple kills in that fight. He was already way ahead with the turret plate, with the farm, and he is an enormous lead now.
Fighting again.
Gonna look for the Mountain Drake. It's secure. DAMWON Gaming fighting off towards the top side. AHQ trying to make a battle happen, but Alex has already fallen. Nuclear trying to get underneath this tower here. BeryL will be shut down. DAMWON, do they take this? It's a 4v4. Pretty easy fight for them to win if they find the right connection. ShowMaker has his ult. Canyon can't quite land the Sonic Wave. AHQ able to retreat.
A lot of abilities were still on cooldown when that fight happened. The TP coming in from AHQ confirmed that there'd be some bloodshed, but a 1-for-1 is only the side dish to the Mountain Drake that DAMWON Gaming were able to keep. However, looks like another kill.
Oh, an incredible killer instinct there, just in the nick of time to dodge away from Rainbow's ult. ShowMaker teleporting in to help Nuclear here, but DAMWON Gaming perhaps are not done with the fighting yet. ShowMaker level 11 looking to jump in. Wako able to dodge away with the Feather Storm. Rainbow chasing up towards the top side, and Nuguri will not let him get away for now. In the end, Rainbow will get towards his tower, and DAMWON Gaming will not find another kill.
Yeah, that was just so well played by Nuclear, getting the auto in as Qiyana entered so that he could actually get the killer instinct to the other side, avoiding that Qiyana stun, because you can actually use the dash while you're being pushed as long as it is before you hit that wall. Here is the previous fight again. It starts with the secure of the Mountain Dragon.
Cast your attention to the status bar in the bottom middle of the screen. So many ults on cooldown here because the previous skirmish was so recent. 1-for-1. Drake picked up by the side of DAMWON.
You feel if Canyon hit that Sonic Wave at the end, maybe he would have gone in. The call of the Q can...
It would have been high feed, that's for sure.
Definitely would have been. 15 minutes in is a 3,000 gold lead here for DAMWON Gaming against an AHQ team that really wanted to play around mid-game power spikes. They're starting to get towards those first items, but they are so far behind DAMWON.
Yeah, and that is really the big problem, right? You know, when you hit that one item, but you're this far behind, you know, we're closing on a 2,000 gold lead here in the mid lane. It becomes so problematic, right? All of a sudden, the first item, Ghostblade, is no longer impressive when you're sitting on a full Seekers and Gunblade. You know, these items are just not necessarily going to get the same value, but what AHQ does have is an incredible amount of playmaking, right? When you have this Rumble Qiyana on top of some really powerful engage here from the Rakan and the Jarvan, you can make things happen if DAMWON makes a mistake.
Well, ShowMaker tanking up a lot of tower shots here. The supreme display of talent won't hit, but the Flame Spitter finds its mark. That's a shutdown going over to Ziv from just aggressive play from the Akali.
We call that an unforced error. In tennis and League of Legends, had no need to go and poke while the turret was still alive. The Shroud doesn't interact like it did before. Nuguri will get the turret up top side. The Ziv roam was definitely the sealer on that one.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think he didn't expect that Ziv would show up, right? You know, the minion wave is at Ziv's turret, so yes, Ziv makes the roam. They make good on that, get the kill on ShowMaker, but ShowMaker still finished the turret, and at the same time, Ziv is losing farm top. They lose the turret top, so despite the successful, you know, play in getting a kill, you lost 2 turrets and you're down quite a bit of gold.
Look, I know that's what ShowMaker's going to tell his coach after the game, but it still was unnecessary, Xayah. Still unnecessary.
I just imagining ShowMaker backstage being like, no, it was the tactical play.
But what if you didn't die?
Hey, I came up with tactical hinting, so I know a little bit about tactical play.
Is that in your solo queue games or?
We don't talk about that.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It's called making space.
Zoning ultimate.
0-4, but the jungler keeps coming.
All right, this is getting too personal. Let's get back to the game.
Okay, AHQ trying to set up mid lane here. Wako and Ysera together. There's an Essence Reaver on this Xayah, so in a good fight perhaps could have some impact, but Nuclear already has a Ginsu's and a Manamune stacking up.
An interaction to wait for is the fact that you can actually Feather Storm through the Hextech ultimatum and pop the ability if your timing is right. While Camille is mid-air, you do override it with the Feather Storm. So fun interaction we saw a couple of times in the LCK that can actually render one of the most important teamfight tools of normally a split pusher in the Camille. Absolutely useless.
Yeah, I do believe you can also fizzle it, you know, with a properly timed stopwatch, right? So it is something that you really do have to watch out for, and it does give, you know, a little bit of additional playmaking there over to AHQ. But DAMWON, you know, happy to play this slow. We have Nuguri really pushing the pace of his build, you know, closing in on the Triforce, and when you do hit that 2-item power spike, that's getting close to diving territory.
You normally take the Triforce first, you know, a Sheen, a Tiamat, and then focus on the Triforce. But the reason he's gone for Ravenous Hydra is to actually keep up the sustain whichever opponent is sent to him, whether it is the Qiyana or the Rumble. You take an aggressive trade, you back off, and the minion wave gives you 300 plus HP. So he's very much agnostic to opponents by going for the Ravenous Hydra completion first.
Yeah, and I think it's a really smart adjustment, right? Because neither of these champions can threaten an all-in on Camille without first getting you low. And it also allows you to harass under turret, you know, and take a turret shot or two there as well. But it is going to be DAMWON starting this dragon up. AHQ looks like they want to contest this.
Well, you've got to contest at some point. They're looking for the fight. Equalizer is available, quickness as well, but the Cloud Drake has already fallen. DAMWON Gaming able to back off for the moment. BeryL still standing on the front line, will just retreat to join his team. AHQ unable to find any connections in the fight, and Rainbow chucks out a Q, won't find his man.
You just see how balanced the Qiyana looks when River access has always been second.
Quickness pop straight away, and Canyon goes down. The ultimate in the jungle from the Qiyana can have the greatest effect.
Yeah, Canyon taking a poor path there back to mid lane. The rest of his team is going the safe route, and he is walking through an unwarded bush knowing AHQ is around. So AHQ do get a kill and a little bit of pressure, trying their best to battle back into this one.
Definitely a pretty lazy play. Didn't expect that from Canyon, but autopiloting or autopathing even his way back to mid lane. And watch the replay here. Takes the ward jump, and you just can't afford to do that when it was unexplored territory for the side of DWG Gaming.
And it's a good trap to lay there from Ysera. You know, a nice little punch back in the game for them, and they are going to need these sorts of things, right? You can't really fight on even terms. You can't fight straight up. You need to be somewhat tricky. You need to be somewhat creative and find these engages out of fog.
Walk of Shame, Rift Herald. Popped in the base there. That one was, of course, not the timing they were looking for.
He's creating space too.
Don't you say anything about slow pushing. It's not a slow
The
push.
thing is here, though, Nuguri is the guy in the bottom lane. How much can you actually pressure him if he's trying to fight with that Rift Herald? If he's pushing
Yeah,
in,
see, now it's a 2v1.
now it's a 2v2 because Ysera's waiting
Well,
in the
even
wings as
terms.
well.
It's looking good.
I feel like I'm listening in on this post-game talk for DWG Gaming.
Yeah, that is you know, a little bit unfortunate. But see, the good thing here now is that when ShowMaker is you know, blaming their top laner, you know, he can also blame the mid laner. There's a little bit of parity
Circle
there,
of blame
right?
is sitting very whole.
Yeah.
The good thing for HQ, the Rift Herald did nothing. You got the gold out of it. Ziv will be very happy to pick that one up, and maybe they can look for another fight. We are at the 20-minute mark, and we're seeing, you know, almost 2 items on most of their carries. Although DWG are ahead, this is really the power spike for HQ.
But we've seen the loosey-goosey Canyon pathing into the Rift Herald fizzling out. This is very much akin to AHQ making some mistakes and falling out to IG last time out. So right now it does feel like the game's still in the balance, even though overall DWG Gaming will feel very secure with a gold lead and the implied scaling advantage just largely felt in the side lane, remember. There's still a perfect team fight for AHQ to pull off.
With this comp, there's honestly pretty much always a perfect team fight. You know, the amount of damage that combo can pull off. I mean, this is the Clutch Gaming special, right? We got to see this in the LCS quite a lot, you know, throughout their kind of playoff gauntlet run. They became pretty well known for this comp, and you know, Ziv is at the point where he's full HP under his turret, and you have to equalize the wave. That is a scary part to be in. Nuguri hits that Triforce, and DWG have really fast Baron here with this Kaisa, and they're just going to straight up start it up and force AHQ to come to them.
Do AHQ even really realizing the long-range totem will spot them out, and DWG just back away.
So the ward there, the shallow blue ward, was actually more important than you might imagine. Why start the Baron there? It wasn't about just rushing it down and taking it. Obviously, if no one comes, you accept it. You know what the ultimate second prize was getting TP from Ziv, because then suddenly Triforce, Ravenous Hydra, Camille says thank you very much, and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't when it comes to contesting any further objectives. So the fact that that ward spotted specifically Nuclear pressing E into the Baron, let them know Baron was tired, let them know they had to push up, and relieves the pressure, because if Ziv ever teleports and Nuguri doesn't have to follow, multiple turrets will be the cost.
Nuguri pushing in towards this tower. As you can see, Ziv, even underneath the turret, really can't trade too effectively with this Camille anymore.
Oh, his life sucks. It's the worst.
Really, all you can do now is try to kill the wave, right? There's no actual chance of fighting back, and you know, Nuguri's at the point where he can hookshot in aggressively as long as he knows where the jungler is, as long as he knows that it's not going to be a 2v1. You take a tower shot or two, you heal up off the next mini wave, and you repeat. And Ziv knows this, and it's just going to actually have to sacrifice this outer turret here, very likely.
Able to buy a Zhonya's to try to buy time under a further inner turret, perhaps, is DWG Gaming back on the Baron.
Forcing it once again, Ysera there. Could face check. Canyon's going to chuck out a Q, but the tower falls in the bottom lane. Nuguri has his teleports backing to the fountain for the moment, but that Baron's just going down.
I mean, this is actually so clever. Canyon just kept showing, and I think the AHQ was under the impression that if Canyon is there, they're not on the Baron, and they just two-man that, taking it down for so long before calling over the rest of their members to finish it off. It's just very well played by DWG.
They just have so much on their mind. We have to make sure nothing's going to happen bot lane. We can't give up the Baron. And when there is that to and throw, sometimes little moments like this, those timings come through. The single Mountain Drake makes it a little bit easier. And suddenly, bloodlessly, DWG Gaming take the Baron.
We talk about unforced errors. That was a forced error from
Yes.
DWG. They pulled AHQ around the map, made them think about too many things, and then forced them into a situation where they couldn't react.
And these were plays that DWG Gaming could not make in spring season when their young lineup, which had no real shot caller, couldn't get it done. So why Flame came in to try to hold down the fort in top lane and help them with mid to late game. Other teams would do these sort of plays to DWG repeatedly. However, leveling up with Coach Kim, previously of Victus Gaming, understanding macro plays, they may not be geniuses yet, but they can pull off plays like that, which when you add in their mechanical prowess, oh boy, does it make them a really fun team to watch.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I mean, it now puts them in such an incredibly strong position. We have ShowMaker uninserted in the top. You're going for an Ocean Dragon, but you're losing your tier 2 top lane. And with the Baron buff to actually empower these solo laners who are already massively ahead of their counterparts, it becomes very difficult to not just bleed out so much gold during this Baron power play.
Definitely spam that hashtag not worth in chat. Very, very clear on that one. But sometimes, you know, you got to take what you can get. And that's unfortunately very little at this point. BeryL just comes in to Baron buff up the minions. You look at some of these DWG members wrong, you're going to get blown up.
Really are. They have a 6,000 gold lead, and AHQ falling further and further behind every second that passes in this game.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, from my point of view now, I'm looking at this and thinking, all right, HQ, you need to make some sort of a proactive play, right? You know, even if it is that 5-10% chance of it working out, that is better than you have sitting back and actually just bleeding out this game. Because if they allow themselves to just be split pushed out, to be bled out of this game, they have absolutely no chance. DWG is just extending their gold lead, is closing in, and are never going to fight you because you're not making them.
Very difficult to catch DWG out there. They continue to clear vision as they push through the jungle. They continue to put down their own control wards.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not an easy engage to make, but when a 5% chance of an engage is better than your chances in this game, you got to pull the trigger.
Wako not in the best of shape. The Featherstorm comes out, but the tower will fall. Ultimate for ultimate. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, stopwatch used there by Ziv. Just try and force Nuguri away.
Trying to stem the bleeding, Xayah, and unfortunately what we saw was that AHQ bought the items they needed to, seemed to understand the plays they needed to make, but the sweeper was a contributing factor, the fact they couldn't get a side of control to actually roam up. They could never play to their items. That's an important thing. If you spend 900 gold on an item, it has to do something in lane or on the map, and it was doing neither. Meant that those times just never came, and the good times came exactly when DWG Gaming were ready for them. And here they are rolling 7,000 gold, and we've had nothing to shout about.
Yeah, I mean, it really does feel like AHQ is waiting for the perfect fight, the perfect opportunity, and failing to realize that that is not going to exist in this game, right? You know, the perfect chance is never going to come. You have to take the best chance that is given to you, and, you know, you hate to see a team kind of bleeding it out like this, and look at the damage that Nuclear is putting in.
This is a chance as the Cataclysm comes down. Teleport used by DWG. Nuclear's almost fallen, but BeryL goes in as well. The shutdown already coming out. The Supreme Display of Talent will knock them back. ShowMaker coming in from the side. Nuguri's there as well. And DWG Gaming now on the front foot, stepping forward, diving under the inhibitor towers. DWG takedown 2. They're looking for a bit more as Canyon hits the Q. One more. Ysera just about survives as his legion of fans keep him alive. But Wako off towards the top side will fall. Ysera goes down as well. And DWG only lose one man.
They're not quite emoting, but they know they've done what they needed to. They'll take down the inhibitor turret here. They've broken the base, and they seem to have broken the hearts of AHQ.
Really nothing Rainbow can do to defend. Nuclear dived into the backline, and still they could only take down one. DWG Gaming now on the Nexus turrets, next on the Nexus, and they will claim their first win of World's Groups.
They have checked the boxes. They're going to look for a couple more kills before they close this one out. But certainly a strong showing here, a good bounce back game against AHQ. You really can't ask for a more controlled game than this. They really did look like it was theirs start to finish.
People are labeling DWG Gaming this challenger rookies to world story in 2019 a contender. And I don't think we're any closer to either denying or crowning that after their victory over AHQ. But actually one of my most relieving things to see is that after the game, no one is smiling, no one is jumping up and pumping their fists, because this is an expected victory over AHQ and only a building block towards a group stage that we already know is going to be very perilous.
It certainly is. And those expected victories sometimes do not come so easily as
True.
we have seen many times in groups before. In these tight groups, often the team that does get upset by one of these, perceived lower ranking teams can be the one to get knocked out. So certainly checking that box and going to be feeling good about it.
They really are. AHQ, of course, struggling. LMS, the question was how strong they were as a region at the moment. Their second seed not looking too good, but J-Team, on the other hand, did, of course, take down a win yesterday, so we'll continue to see how that develops throughout the group stage. DAMWON now tying up with Team Liquid at 1-1 in this group. I think if you came into it and said after the first couple of games, DAMWON would be tied up with Team Liquid, both sides of the argument would take that story.
Yeah, I mean, maybe less DAMWON. I think, some people were kind of leaning more in their favor. But, I was certainly of the opinion coming into this that those three teams, IG, DAMWON, TL, really could perceivably finish in any order, right? I think that the differences are small enough that these teams are going to be competitive with each other, and it's going to come down to who can actually execute on the day and who's going to be performing the best at this tournament.
And part of the reason I picked TL yesterday, and part of the reason I was maybe lower on DAMWON than other people, is that they really are a young roster. And it's not like Griffin last year, where I felt like they were so close to greatness. DAMWON had to earn it. They had to improve, but they still do make rookie mistakes. And I remember being young. Sometimes you have to make mistakes to learn. It's not enough that your veteran world championship coach tells you to put those wards down or play smarter. You have to make the mistakes and feel the pain. And they felt it yesterday. They were smarting after losing to TL. And this was the sort of control performance with smart early wards into very ordered play. We saw ShowMaker, we saw one or two slight loose performances, but other than that, it did feel like it was a very inevitable victory for DAMWON.
Well, let's have a look at some of that inevitability in their final team fight. This is the What's Your Move replay. It's DAMWON really just having an incredible fight at the end after Nuclear jumps in.
Yeah, Nuclear, I think, just having a little bit of fun with it. He kind of ran this one down, but they are so far ahead, and the rest of DAMWON coming in is able to very, very comfortably clean this up.
Exactly, and it's those swooping carries, right? It's not the Yasuo waiting for a Gragasol, it's the fact that Akali, ShowMaker, one of the best Akalis, probably the best Akali in Korea, can swoop in and try to profit alongside his good friend in Nuguri on the Camille. They can style, they can get under Nexus turrets, it doesn't matter. By then the game was won, and the tactical int coming through from Nuclear, they'll take it.
At least it was tactical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing for his team, obviously. When we return, we have a dream matchup. It's Griffin from the LCK versus the LEC champions, G2.
Let's go.
It's gonna be a fun one.
BeryL on the front line, the storm coming out, Nuguri forced back, but here comes ShowMaker, the dive in from Nuclear. That's 2 quick kills for DAMWON Gaming.
Just see how balanced the Qiyana looks when river access has always been second.
Quickness pop straight away, and Canyon goes down. So the Cataclysm comes down, teleport used by DAMWON. Nuclear's almost fallen, but BeryL goes in as well. The shutdown already coming out, the Supreme Display and Talon will knock them back. ShowMaker coming in from the side, Nuguri's there as well. And DAMWON Gaming now on the front foot, stepping forward, diving under the inhibitor towers. DAMWON Gaming now on the Nexus turrets, next on the Nexus, and they will claim their first win of World's Groups.
I had a tournament in New York, and we got second in the world. So now I've taken another leap, which is to build my own company. My goal was to help other people who want to turn streaming into a career. The biggest thing you have to realize is it's a team game.